I started out wanting to grow things when I was little. Of course, we didn't grow anything. My dad didn't grow anything. Really can't remember why I was interested in it. But it was only like a little 4 by 6 foot area, and I had tomatoes and some onions in it. Pretty much taught myself, trial and error, a lot of it. And then I grew all those from seed. Some red ones in there. Once I were older, and then when your mom and I got married, I've had a garden every year since, and we've been married 37 years.
This is my dad, Eddie Lloyd, the man who taught me how to garden. This year, I've been starting my own garden. The first garden that I've grown on my own, and over the past year, while I've learned and relearned a lot about gardening, I've also grown closer to my dad.
Of course, you remember when you and your brother were younger and we lived out in the country. I had about 1.5 acre garden that you and Kyle picked out of and sold at the farmer's market. I don't know, I wanted to grow different things, and I would get the plants, and of course there wasn't a lot of variety of plants. And then when we moved out to Masonville and we lived in the country, I had a greenhouse. Wasn't big, it was like 8 by 12, and I would grow all my plants from seed: tomatoes, eggplants, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. All my plants I grew from seed in that greenhouse. Peppers, save the seeds. Some little decorative gourds, climbing on that thing. Some late tomato plants. But I don't have a problem with not being able to use all this stuff. I just want to see what it looks like, see what it tastes like. I would have 200 tomato plants, but they're all different kinds, 4 tomatoes. So I grew like 50 different types of heirloom tomatoes, 4 plants per each. I mean, some of those tomato plants, I'd just eat 1 or 2 tomatoes off of them when I was out there in the garden, and then the rest of them would just go to seed. But I did pick a lot of stuff. There was one church that I went to down there on 10th Street when I'd have just like a surplus, buckets and buckets of green peppers, tomatoes, all kinds of different things, and I would take it there and donate fresh vegetables, because they had they cooked for people, poor people, that they could come there and eat. It wasn't like a food pantry, it was just like they cook.
I didn't know that. I didn't know a lot about my dad's long history as a gardener. I never thought to ask until I started reflecting on my own experience.
A big blackberry bush. They're loaded. And that's another raised bed that I made. And it's sweet potatoes. And there's a dill. A lot of the seeds didn't come up, but this one, it doesn't get a lot of sun. It just gets the morning sun, and then the house blocks it.
When my wife Michelle and I moved from Washington, D.C. to Kentucky, I brought with me big plans to start a garden, like the garden I grew up growing each summer with my dad. I think my dad was also excited for my garden plans, because days after we arrived at our new home, He brought us a wheelbarrow, shovels, hose, and numerous other hand tools that would prove necessary to create my garden. And all of these tools weren't new tools, but secondhand tools that he had been buying at garage sales and thrift stores, preparing for me to come home to Kentucky and start growing. I don't know why, but there was something special about the wheelbarrow that really touched me. I think because it reminds me of the one I used growing up.
The neighbor that lived next to us, he was selling a bunch of stuff, and it was a Sears Craftsman wheelbarrow, only it was yellow, it wasn't red with white lettering. So it was old when I bought it from him. I only give like $10 for it. Tail it's got all rusted. The paint's held up better than you would think. I've had it probably 30 years, and it was old when I bought it. Of course, I've replaced the handles. I haven't painted it. It's still the original paint. Of course, it needs painting. But the best place to find a wheelbarrow is the garage sales or something like that, and they go cheap. Just like the wheelbarrow that I got for you. I think I paid $15 for it, and it's a very expensive wheelbarrow, a contractor grade wheelbarrow.
This year, my dad and I have talked a lot about gardening, always wanting to hear what the other has been planting, what we've added to our gardens, and future ideas for what to build or try next. While he taught me how to garden, I think my return to gardening has also inspired him. My parents moved into town a few years ago and no longer live at my childhood home in the country, but that hasn't stopped him from gardening, and their suburban lot is quickly being transformed into an extremely productive space. Do you remember what I said about the corn my first day of going to school and eating lunch?
No.
No.
Oh, how much the difference the old canned corn is in the school versus fresh sweet corn.
Yeah, I don't think I'd had canned corn up until that point.
Up until you went to school, and it's not very good. I won't eat canned corn. It's just nasty, I think. But of course, I don't have a big area anymore. Just have little small places. I grow a few ears of corn, but nothing like I used to. We used to put up probably 50, 60 quart bags of corn cut off the cob. When I first started out, you and my mom, and I was growing stuff, I mean, we were canning, making everything, you name it, ketchup, all different kinds of salsa. Your mother's Italian, so she cooks a lot of sauces, canned peppers like jalapenos, pepperoncinis. I mean, we just made hot sauce, just all different things because we were just starting out, wanting to try things. Yukon Gold, got about a half a bushel off of 7 plants. And then here's those one little purple ones I was talking about, those long ones. All these came from one plant. There's quite a few of them, just off of one plant. And I have them in here drying out. You definitely, if you want your potatoes to keep, you just leave the dirt on them, and then as they dry out real good, and most of that dirt will come off if you just rub them a little bit. But you definitely don't want to wash them if you want to save them for a while, because it'll make them rot.
Thanks, Dad, for all you taught me and continue to teach me.